Being young has its perks. No one really expects much from you professionally, and you can go through life making mistakes, screwing around, and making quote unquote dumb mistakes. And that's just the norm. But what if I want something different for myself? Hello, guys. Welcome to the Clarity Project, my personal project where I just go through life or talk about my journey throughout life and how I'm navigating it whilst having ADHD. And every now and then I'll bring in a guest to talk about their journey, whether or not they have ADHD. And today's episode, I want to talk about kind of the jigsaw puzzle of life. So imagine you have a jigsaw puzzle right in front of you, and you are being handed your pieces. And right next to you have a friend or a stranger who is in the same position, who is also being handed their pieces, and you realize that your pieces are being handed at you at a much slower rate than theirs. And you're wondering why, and you're trying to figure out why, and you're just having all these thoughts about why they are getting their pieces at a much faster rate than you are. And so that's what this episode's about. It's kind of like the progressions of life and how each person has their own different progression. So I'm 23, about to be 24 in the next week, and sometimes I find it hard to, or sometimes I find that I'll look at my peers around my age, and there'll be people that I've known for a decade or my whole life. A good example is one of my best friends I've known for almost a decade, and he just graduated college. He did have a little bit of it did take him a little bit longer. It took him about 6 years versus the normal 4 years. But I mean, still, that's such a huge achievement, and he is going on to a career that he has chosen for himself. On the other side, we have my sister, my twin sister, so she's exactly my age, and back in high school, she worked with a family friend at their veterinary clinic, and she's never looked back since then. So I think since at that point in time, she knew exactly that she wanted to be a veterinarian. She's just been working hard at that and doing what's necessary to pursue that goal. And then just last year, she actually got engaged, which is exciting. I get to be a now brother-in-law when they get married later this year. And so they're also out on their own, doing their own things, living their lives. And yeah, they're just enjoying themselves, and I'm very happy for them. Another person I'm very happy for is a friend that I've known since, how long is it? Elementary school. Wow. Almost 15, maybe 20 years. It's been a long time. And so ever since like 6th grade, when they introduced us to all the instruments, all the band stuff, he chose the trumpet, and throughout the different years, elementary, middle school, high school, I believe he made the choice to pursue music. And now that's what he's doing. I mean, he has just graduated college recently. Actually, no, he is graduating college pretty soon. His graduation is, I believe, this week. And he's getting his music degree and works as a professional trumpet player. And so that's very exciting. But I mean, ever since he had his hands on the instrument, he's known what he's wanted to do, and he's been pursuing that career for a while now, and I'm very excited to see that. And he also found his partner, who they just got married last year, and just this year they also bought their house, and so that's very exciting. And so every now and then I just find myself looking at their positions compared to where I'm at, and I find it pretty hard not to compare where I'm at versus where they're at. And for me, it seems like my jigsaw puzzle pieces are being handed to me at a much slower rate compared to theirs, where they have their careers lined up and they have relationships and homes, and I'm looking at myself and I don't have any of those things, and it can be very, very, very brutal, a very brutal thing to think about. I mean, if you think about it, even when we're younger, as children, or even if you have children of your own, and they they're out with their friends, and their friends have the newest console or the newest toy, or I don't know, something that the others don't, and they're just like, I want it, give, and it's just the inner child comes out when you are comparing yourself to other people because you want what they have, and you realize that you don't have it. And so two quotes come to me when I realize that I'm having these wandering thoughts. One of the quotes is, "Comparison is the thief of joy," which I'm sure everyone's heard. It just makes sense, and it's exactly like I stated. It's the inner child coming out and saying that they want the thing that other people have, but they can't get it. And the other quote is, "Everyone marches to the beat of their own drum," which is also another very, very common one. And the quote, "Everyone marches to the beat of their own drum," is the quote that I fall back onto when I realize that I am falling into these mental spirals. And it reminds me that even though these other people in my lives they may be ahead of me, I remind myself that they're all my age, and all three of them, at least these three examples, are in different stages of their own lives. I mean, one of them has just graduated college. Another one hasn't done college and is doing what she loves. And the other one is about to graduate college, already has like his partners in his house, and is just working his way up from there. And so all of their puzzle pieces are being handed to them at different rates, and mine is being handed to me at a different rate as well. And it's just reminding myself that, exactly what the quote says, not everyone marches to the beat of their own drum. And so one of the big changes I made recently was switching careers. And going into that, I was worried about, is it too impulsive of a decision? And when I made the decision, I had wanted to talk to people about it, but really delayed the process of talking to my support group. And when I did end up talking to them, I found that the conversations were very, very much not what I expected them to be. I expected everyone to kind of reinforce my own thoughts of is it being too much of an impulsive decision, and being like, what the heck are you doing, and why are you doing this? But that was not the case with the conversations. I mean, one of the conversations with my mentors was her just stating that the decision I've made was mine, and I've been ready to make the decision after previous or multiple conversations with her about the subject, and that she'd be my biggest cheerleader, which I greatly appreciate. Another conversation that is stuck in my mind as well was with a family member, and I remember it so vividly because there were five different conversations happening at once, and he was right next to me, and we've had this conversation multiple times, or a similar conversation rather. So in my previous job, when I had this conversation with him about the job where I was traveling all the time, he looked at me and he said, "That's good. I'm happy that you're traveling for work." And in this new position, he looked at me in the eyes and he said, "That's good. I'm happy that you've chosen this for yourself, and I'm happy that you've chosen something that you want to pursue." So thinking about that conversation, or those conversations, and just that family member helps me to really push forward and look towards the future. And so the biggest takeaway from this section, at least, is just finding support members who can push you and are going to support you no matter what, really. I will say one conversation that was vastly different from the rest of them was the one with Bowman, who you all have met in a previous episode, which I will have to redo that episode because audio was kind of wonky. And so just stay tuned for that. But The conversation with Bowman was much different because obviously I'd be living with him, and so anything that I do would directly affect him. And so every now and then I do have the creeping thoughts of I need to do more so that way I can finally leave his place and not leech off of him or be a burden for him. And so whenever I have these creeping, wandering thoughts, I'll talk to him about them, and he'll kind of reinforce my position and his thoughts on my position, why he's doing what he's doing, and it helps a lot, especially in our situation. And I came across a study that says people with ADHD experience a delay of executive function development compared to their neurotypical peers by about 2 to 5 years. And so, what does that mean? Well, so I think of executive functions as like the project managers or the boss of our brains. So they are in charge of managing our time, money, responsibilities, and forming stable routines or independent living habits. And so a lot of these processes or these functions aren't being developed at a normal rate. And it usually takes about 2 to 5 years more than our other neurotypical peers for our functions to develop. And so thinking about that also helps me to reframe my position and my thoughts, because it reminds me that I'm not the only one who goes through this. I mean, there are a bunch of other people who are experiencing the same thing. And it just serves as a reminder that it's not just me, it's just the way I work. And so if anyone is sitting in this phase, just know it's not permanent. It's simply just a pit stop for the journey up ahead. You're not a failure. You're not falling behind. You're just where you are. And that's enough for now. And so wherever you're at right now, whether it be figuring it out, I would love to hear your story. So please send me a comment or DM me on my Instagram at The Clarity Project. And stay tuned for the next episode, which will feature another guest. So thank you guys very, very much.